Okay, so we'll start back again. Okay, so the no numbered figure or table needs to be corrected for the payment. And so table 22 is actually the water cash flow. And then we have the sewer, we have existing and the reduced for water and wastewater and solid, and then, well, we got some, but was there any concerns on the table 22, 23, and 24?
I couldn't find anything other than the math was a little fuzzy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and so then we can talk about that when we start reviewing when we go into the more details as we stated earlier.
Well, now, we had mentioned that the budget for operating and maintenance, the figures were too high, and so that's going to affect all these other tables.
Yeah, unfortunately, I imagine that's what they got from finance, so we'll probably have to go over that with finance later, would be my assumption. Am I missing something, Eileen? Okay. Yeah, I think when we do the fiscal year 22 budget, we definitely need to look at that. Okay, so page 3.53 wastewater. I didn't have anything. So my next thing is the solid waste. And on page 7, yep. So why isn't the fiscal year 21 capital included in table 26? They say there's no capital, and there is capital. We have it on the ongoing chart for solid waste. So Dennis, do you know what's going on there?
Yeah, we'll just have to clean it up.
Okay. And again, then I just make the same comment that these don't match, and actually they've reversed the two, so they just need to make sure the document goes through. So up there we're looking at 34 and 35. So I would suggest keeping those two unless anybody has problems. Can they read them, or do you need me to read anything?
I think, like Dennis was saying, I think we need to take and put in that, what does it say, the landfill closure, so much solid waste customers. It represents a set aside. What does that say, Josh? Represents a set aside
So where we at?
to meet future regulatory requirements.
Yeah,
What was that?
closure.
Yeah, but what was that NRS that we had to follow it by? In other words, on the landfill closure and holding the money?
I don't know the number, but we can have them state that.
I think it needs to be stated so that way it has some teeth.
Yep. Okay, that's easy enough.
So you want to just add that at the end of the comment? Yeah, there, Josh. I guess just add it to there, just to add the Nevada. Is it Nevada statutes?
Yep, it's NRS.
Yeah, I don't remember the number, but I remember from years ago, I probably got a document on it.
Yeah,
Okay. 27. Anybody have any concerns on table 26 besides the not having the capital on there? Okay, so 28, 29. Okay, so you got okay, this is another one, I guess, so I'll read it and see what the relative financial strength of the utility funds is in large, I deleted large, part attributable to the city's access to external sources of funding for capital improvement projects. And then it goes on to it. So because we don't know what the future is going to be for access, this one, so my comment is, should this be modified since it's uncertain what external funds will be available after fiscal year 2023? So they're trying to say that, we're in better shape because we all have all these external funds, but we don't know what we have in the future.
Well, I mean, the solar is going to continue, but you mean they might not use it for capital? Is that the idea? Right?
Yeah, because that's still, I'm not sure how that voter went. And so if we don't know it, then we don't know what's happening. So is it we okay with leaving that in there?
Yeah, that comment should stay.
Okay. 30, so, table 28, this is the combined cash, so, Dennis, what I'm looking for, it maybe harp on, since this is a picture, I don't think we could, it's all one thing, we can't really highlight the different items. What I'm thinking, so see what everybody thinks, I think under capital, so so what we were told during a couple meetings was that the taxes and the other sources weren't true revenues. And that's the way the city shows it in some of their reports, but not, we were told it wasn't a revenue for everything. So the infrastructure taxes, if I understand correctly, they stated that is only for capital, and I can't remember if it was only for water capital or what it was. So my suggestion would be that under capital, then you have a offset and the actual number. So somehow they need to show, so you go back to the tables for the capital, and you take all the numbers that were offset, and they should be shown in all the other cash flows, and then everything should come up to the total amount of pay-go, not the reduced, and then have something to show that what's offsetting all that. So basically, you could just say capital, you put a few lines in, and you say offset capital cost or something, and then you show, and maybe that would go above capital, pay-go capital, so it's not shown that it's for debt service. So then you show, but in this overall document, I would need to find a way to show all of our numbers, not partial. Does that make sense?
I think you lost me. So are you talking about the quarter-cent sales tax revenue for water and sewer?
Okay, let's go back to one of the other pages. It's easier. Let's go to. I should have caught it earlier. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay, let's go to the electrical. Probably should be able to do electrical. Where's the electrical? I guess it's the electrical. Dang it! Where's the? Yeah, you got to go through. So if we go through the electrical cash flows, and let's just do the existing.
Okay.
Okay, so back on page 19, Josh, table 18. No, table 8, yeah, was that far back? Table 18.
Yeah, 18.
Okay, you're right, sorry, good, sorry, Josh. Okay, so go down just a little bit. Okay, you see that pay-go $17 million? Mm-hmm. Okay, that is actually 18.9. And it's reduced by 1.9 in
Because of those
the
other
other tables.
revenues.
Right.
Okay.
So
I got what you're saying.
if we start there, we put at least one line in and say offset 1.9, and then you show, so
I
you
get
show
what
the
you're saying.
total capital of, the total capital is 18 million. So, and then you have pay-go is what is
Right.
their phrase.
Right.
And then that's got to go, the electrical, the water, the sewer, all that's got to flow through, and then the ultimate, the main one needs to, then we go back to table 29 and 28, I guess, yeah, 28 and 29.
Can you, sorry, just for a sec, this is just out of curiosity. So what exactly is pay-go capital? What is that?
Well, I think they said in this document, because they print out, they say it in the document, but it's pay as you go,
Meaning what?
that it's using cash.
I mean,
and
it's
not
all cash funded.
it's not debit.
Everything we do in Boulder City is cash
So there's
funded.
an account with cash in this thing?
Yeah, we don't like to borrow money, so.
Okay, and you're saying there's 1.8 million missing from where?
Well, there's 1.9 in electrical, there's each one, what they did is they took the earlier ones that I pointed out, but I didn't point out as cleanly as I should have, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't understand. It's my fault. I mean,
When it goes through the capital funds, okay, sorry, Josh, let's just go back and.
you just tell me. I mean,
Okay, it's,
I believe you. I
It's
just
the
didn't-
offset with the revenue from those other sources.
So there's other revenue they didn't include in the pay-go that he wants included in there.
It's just not defined in the table itself.
And it's money that's in some account, but not in an, well, okay, never mind, I'm kind of,
Well, I'll get you there and you can get, okay, so if we go to page 17, and we go to table 15,
I'm just not familiar with these accounting methods. Okay, I'm there, yeah. Actually, it's 16 on page 17, but, oh, it's above there, yeah, okay, yep. There's PAYGO, oh, there's your 1.9 land sale revenue.
Right.
And so you're saying they didn't include that?
no, well, they did, but they reduced it. That is, the land sales reduces, so if you look at the bottom, you'll see that the total amount is 18.9 million is
Correct.
in electrical.
Yeah,
And so they're saying that they're reducing at 1.9 and they're taking the 17 forward.
Right.
So your source, your cash flow doesn't show you all the numbers. It just shows you what is,
but what is reducing 1.9, reducing it to what?
okay, the 1.9, that's the land sales.
Right,
That's
that's
part of
an
that
income.
voters, that's part of that voters aspect. So we have the two things from the voters. We have the
Right.
solar and the land.
Right,
So we get in 21, so this year they're claiming we get 1.9.
right.
Which I think it's already been well, I'm not sure it's transferred out or not. And then we have 600,000 and then we have
So why does it
1.3.
disappear in the other table?
That,
Am I going round in circles?
well, what it didn't reduce, it doesn't disappear, it's just they reduced it. So they're saying, you're happy, we're showing you the numbers, we just don't know, you don't see how we got there. They show it
It does sound
once.
fuzzy to me, it's like,
That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking, can you
Yeah.
show me the numbers as we go through?
Well, that
Basically
makes sense.
Show the 1.9.
We'll show anything, any of the numbers, yes.
okay, thanks, yeah, I understand now.
Because in the water case, you've got the 500, the 110, the 600, the 8, and then again, now we have we got the infrastructure tax, where in the city's reports, they show it as revenue. So, and then when I brought that up in one of the meetings, they said, oh, no, that's not right because it's a specific thing. Okay, that's fine, but show me on all the documents, not just one. So, okay, does that, and so, since we can't really point that out as easy on the document, Dennis, I guess I need to really point that out. Because that was the one thing I think I'd ask you originally, because I
Yeah.
thought it might take a little bit to be done.
Yep.
Did they give you any feedback on that?
No. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay,
I
well,
mean, it's just another line on the table.
okay.
So,
Okay, thanks, Josh. Yeah, so I guess now we're going back to page, so that's what I was trying to do on page 29, was I was trying to
yeah.
make sure that, start at that point.
28.
Okay, so let's go to page 32.
External.
Okay, and I guess that's a snide remark, so I guess the best thing to do is just delete it. It was more or less to bring it up to the committee, as, you know, they said there's a broad range, but then they're only showing us one option, so it's nothing they can do, so just delete it.
That's what we affectionately refer to as a 3 a.m. comment.
Okay, so but I'm just, again, they're saying they couldn't find one in 2012, they did do a cost authority. 2012 did a reasonable rate study, so I guess I'll just leave that in there to make sure it gets through the document. So again, if, maybe add, Josh, just add his footnote again or something, like to be consistent with our other one. And I guess, on page 33, yeah, again, it was a comment to be, maybe, we'll just bring this approach when we bring back the thing, but it's not, they're gonna do anything, so just delete that comment. This isn't giving us other options, but it's not. Yeah, because I don't have as many on this, because there's a lot wrong with it, but I can't change anything, so. Though on page 35, I guess I would like to know, so has anybody read this gross plant closely? I've read it several times and I'm not really sure. Am I missing? Because I'm asking that this needs to be in better detail, but am I missing that it is enough detail or not? Because this is what they're basing most of their statement on, that the commercial is paying too much, because they're putting most everything in the
I agree.
spreadsheets in this gross plant.
But there's no explanation of where the number, they just sort of say our distribution is based on this, but they don't say where they got this number and how they did it.
Right.
I agree with you.
So is that good enough, or do we put the onus on them to try to explain it better? Is that a good enough comment?
I think the comment's good, yeah.
Okay, so I just didn't know if there was more to be added or not. Okay, it's 36, so Josh will go on. And again, how was this broken out? So it says gross plant, but how was it broken out? You have to go to the spreadsheets to have any understanding what's going on. Or to get major understanding. Okay, and then that was your comment basically too, similar I think, George, was the breakout of the subs, customer service is not clear. So if we're okay with that.
Yeah, that follows from the previous comment, because I think they did it with gross plan investment that they haven't specified. That's how they broke it out, I think. But yeah, it's not clear, I agree.
Okay, page 37. Okay, so their footnote is that they're saying that the $600,000, so what I've got is not sure footnote 11 makes sense. It makes more sense to include the 600K in raw water and not future capital. So they're saying that the reduction in 600K is going towards raw water, towards the capital, which goes mostly towards distribution, which goes mostly towards the residential people, because it's reducing the raw water, therefore it will help capital down the road. I don't think that's a clean statement. So are we okay with leaving that in? Okay. Okay, on page, 40. Comment, let's see. Transformers, so it's, let's see, there we go. So my comment is this needs to be discussed, but there again, maybe the comment shouldn't, for example, wouldn't a large commercial load need a larger transformer than a residential customer? And wouldn't that larger transformer cost more? So the way I read their statement that I highlighted is that a transformer for a commercial customer is cheaper because they know they can buy a specific one where they can't buy a specific one for a residential. And
I disagree with that, because if you have a commercial customer that does a plant upgrade, he might need a larger KVA transformer.
That's what to me, that's not a true statement. So should we say should possibly delete it? Because there again, it's sort of, if the average person looks, okay, this is how you're justifying it, but it's not necessarily a true statement. So is something we leave in there, or do we ask to be deleted?
Delete.
Because they're using it as as a main part of their justification for the commercial paying too much.
I think this is something that we should address when we make our recommendation to the council. We should bring up that we disagree with that statement.
Okay, so, but can we leave the...
They can leave
it
it in, but I think when we make our recommendation to the council, we should point out that statement and say we don't agree.
I think it's an erroneous statement.
So we'll leave the comment in, that way we can point back to it also, if that's okay, Eileen? Okay, and then-
I'm not even convinced. The sentence at the beginning of that paragraph says it's all driven by customer maximum demand, which I think specifically they defined as the sum of the maximum demand in each given month for the year. So, but why is it driven by that? Shouldn't it be driven by the peak demand?
Well, that's the problem. They took one option and they calculated everything. Everything was calculated. There's no actual numbers used except for the energy, but the demand is all calculated. And I think the water is somewhat calculated too. So your statements earlier on and here, this is where we have to go into it in more detail when we go into this part of the report. But
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we want to leave theirs in because that's what they actually did. I agree with that. So, okay. Page 41, 42. This is like that actually leads into sort of what I was talking on. So if you go to page 42 now, Josh, and like see what comment are we on yours? Because we deleted it quite a bit. So 43 and it's 49 on the document I have, but 43. So this one. So they've calculated. See, coincidental peak demand was estimated using load factors. So why can't we have coincidental peak demand and non-peak to compare it to? I would think you'd want a baseline.
I agree with that. We know it. And in fact, their estimates don't agree with the actual number because they bollocks up the calculation. So you're right. We actually know what the number is, and we can add up their numbers. The coincident peak demand is the maximum electricity, the hour in which the maximum electricity was used in a given year. And so I had all the data from Dwyer for 2016, and it was like 5 p.m. on July 27th, and it's 51 megawatts. And then with their method, you add it up, and it doesn't add up to that.
No.
So I agree exactly with what you're right on the money, as far as I'm concerned.
So does anybody else have any problem with leaving it in there?
And as I mentioned, the load factors are quoted to an accuracy of 1,000,000% which is gobbledygook, and they don't even agree to 15% with Mr. Dwyer's numbers. But anyway, I've said that already. So.
Yeah, no, I think when it comes to the report, we actually discuss it, then we can talk a lot of different aspects. And, no, that's fine. It's just so 40, 43. 40. Okay, does anybody? So we've got. I'm sorry if I skip tables. Does anybody have any problems with any of these tables along the way? So now we are on table. We'll see right above. Okay, we're on table 45 now. And so this is one of the ones that George brought up. But without telling them to redo everything, I don't think there's anything we can change on it, because this is their whole assumptions right here. I think it's more or less to try to discuss it later instead of saying it's
That was
wrong.
my point. My 20-minute rant at the beginning was just saying that, basically.
Hey, George, see where it says table 45 dash? Sample of electric utility units of service. It's not accurate.
We should change the name.
It's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Couldn't resist, yeah.
Because it's not correct. There's your city streetlights, your sport field lighting, all that stuff has been done back in, I think we started on the ballpark in 19. We started changing out streetlights in 18. And these are all assumptions, but they're bad assumptions.
Yeah, so instead of, unless you want to make a comment, I'm not sure, is it worth, you going to want to try to make a comment or just
I'd say we leave it alone and let's tackle it ourselves. We've got enough knowledge here in the room to do that. I don't think that would be a big problem.
okay.
I mean, they can watch this damn video if they want, and then, say, you guys are the morons, or George is a moron.
Okay, so 46 is, then you got water issues on that. Table 47, you got wastewater. Then they start their calculations so that it's just more things that.
Hang on one second. On the wastewater, Dennis, aren't we charging our commercial customers 100% wastewater from the calculated off the domestic flows coming into the facilities?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
which-
what I thought it was. It was a 1-for-1.
So that can be problematic for certain customer classes, i.e. if you're just selling water, which we have 2 of those, they have an extremely high bill, but they don't discharge anything to the wastewater system.
Right, it's just for
So
for
it-
purification of their equipment.
Right, so in those cases, we're probably gonna take a look at those and just charge them a flat rate like residential.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to be fair, but we've only got a couple of those, but that's come up just recently.
But I think that's the whole thing of this report, is that there are specific customers that have specific rates and certain things that we should be looking at, and doing these things across the board or saying everything's wrong now. This didn't convince me that there was a major difference, 40% needed to be corrected right away.
No, I don't think so.
And so but if we go along and say things, this can be looked at, that can be looked at, that's, I think, what we're hoping to do, so we can help the little guy. You're saying we don't have, but actually, we're trying to speak for everybody here.
Right.
We're trying to come up with something to say, we're not, we're an advisory committee, you're exactly right, but we are trying to come up and make we are trying to make a difference. And then we just have to figure out how to get it in report form, which hasn't been easy so
Yeah,
far.
and-
Yeah,
and-
costs aren't easy, I mean,
And you have to be really careful making special consideration for certain, classes of customers. But when it's obvious that it's not fair, then
Well, that's it.
that's different, because you can support that, legally.
But I mean, we do that. We give
Yeah.
help to people whose incomes are below a certain threshold. You could say that's unfair. That's giving them an edge. If you make less than 20,000, why should you be helped by the state? So it's a kind of, you could go around in circles.
Yep.
But one comment I had is also, if they're driving the whole thing with coincident peak demand, then it should be residential versus commercial. If I'm a resident and say I go up to Idaho in the summer, I'm not even turning my stuff on in the summer. So if you want to play the game that way, and it's not impossible to do, the math is easy, it's linear algebra, it's what we do in physics. You could actually look at the correlation of individual customers with, the general demand and say, well, we'll bill you that way, as opposed to making these generalizations and putting everyone in one boat and saying it's pitting commercial against residential. There actually is a way to do it. Of course, that's a black hole, because then you say, well, should we take the last 5 years as being typical, or, how do we decide? But it's actually doable.
And I can tell you this, probably 5 years from now, we'll have most of our meters that you can get real-time data on. Right now, we've probably got 1,000 or so, but they're not necessarily all on commercial and or residential. But as we change out the meters, which we do on a regular basis, eventually we'll have all the data we need to, tons more data, like every 15 freaking seconds or whatever it is, if you want to download it that way. So,
And I think that's
for both commercial and residential, so that'll be good. We just don't have that right now.
That analysis is they're all moving in sync,
Right.
but not all of them, there's one guy, and so you can do all that analysis.
Yeah.
But then, let's ask Raftelis to do that by next week too.
But I think that's the sort of the bottom line with the cost analysis, is that we have more data. So the biggest thing is to be, because that's where we're sort of getting to now, is their recommendations. And as we said before, it's one of three ways. It's either do it in 1 year, do it in 4 years, or don't do it at all. And that there should be more options than that. So I don't think we can ask them to do that now. It's too late. But at least that's something we can definitely tell to the city council, and I think to the city too. This does not make sense. You said there's more data coming down the road with the meters and stuff that make more sense to say. And so to change 24, well, just look on, okay, so go all the way to page 49. Because I think I don't had any changes until then. Yep, one more up, the table, let's look at table 57. So again, I'm not trying to analyze, I just want to point out. So they're showing, so this is where George is saying, okay, we have an increase, and then we have all these decreases. We have an increase to residential. So if you look at this, but the problem is I just want to make clear, is that this committee is not agreeing to this. I don't agree to it, and I'm hoping the rest of the committee does.
I agree with your disagreement.
So the 16%, we can go back to the 3%. Maybe we can end with that comment as we're ending here. Not quite yet. But then you got 16%, 37, 44, 41. So in electrical, they want to do that within 4 years. That doesn't make sense. So this is where I want to go into more detail and say, you based it on one option and you want to make a drastic change in a short time. Maybe we need to see if there's a way to offset a little bit, but not, this doesn't convince me it's the right thing.
But what kind of pissed me off is they were sort of deceiving people because none of this is up front in the document. Up front, it's like 3% decrease, headline, New York Times front page, back page, 16% increase. And that I think, if they wanted to do that, they should have put that as the headline. We want to increase your residential rates by 16%.
Well, yeah, they did. See, that's the problem. It isn't clear. You're exactly right. But unfortunately, what they did is they said 3%. And that's the reason I wanted their footnotes changed, because they said, well, if you change it 3% before January, then they're going to get a year. So let's put it off till 23, and they're going to get a year and a half's worth of this 3% reduction. Then we're going to start increasing.
Exactly. We agree on that.
That's what they're trying to do.
But they're being a bit deceptive, and maybe I'm being unfair and raising the temperature again, but it's deceptive to a member of the public who doesn't have 5 hours. They're going to look at the executive summary and go, as I did at first blush, I was like, 3%, great. Magic, I agree, I don't have to say anything. And then you read it and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't read the user agreement on iTunes, which, and I think that's a bit deceptive, yeah. We're agreeing.
I don't know if we can make any change to that or not, but that's just, so that's part where I totally agree is and the water isn't much, the water is strange and trying to figure out, and that one's still based, because I'm not sure this one, I think does the back tables, Dennis, have where they say if we don't charge the city, does the back tables have that? Yes, okay, rate phase, and I think the back one does now. So that's the only place you find it, the appendices, and hardly anybody goes to the appendices.
Exactly, no, we're totally agreeing. I mean,
so if the city doesn't pay full prices, they have to go to the appendices to find that. And so these are things that there's not much we can do to get the report changed, but we can go over it in the future. So I guess.
But they were, again, a bit unfair when they told the council, well, this was all done in agreement. We had many meetings with the Utility Advisory Committee, but not really. I mean, when push came to shove, they didn't really listen to us on those big issues. But that's okay. It's done. I agree. It's done. Well,
no, I think that's good to have that on record. That's the one thing I agree on, is that we were not included. Well, the major example, maybe that's the better way to end the cost of service, is that the technical paper for the financial plan was given to us in a meeting, and we still had other meetings that we could have asked them more questions on. So, and I believe that the way the deliverables were established, that the cost of service report, technical report, was also supposed to be given to us before the draft report was given, the final draft report was given to us. So we could have said, okay, can you explain this to us? Because in several meetings, several of us have asked them questions. Eileen asked you very important questions, was told to go to the video. I've repeated that several times, but it's still frustrating. So, but we've never got our questions answered, never. And so that part is going on record, and now I'm starting to rant a little bit.
No, I agree with you. It's important.
But so we have not been in the loop that we were trying to. So the cost of service, now the second one before, to make sure, so when we go to rate design, let me just help me remember this, is when their survey is what that comes into play, I think. So let me just get back. So the cost of service is frustrating in the fact that, I think, as I thought I had it in one of my comments, is that they said we were included and we were really not included in the cost of service aspect.
Yeah, they weren't totally honest. I mean, I hate to throw accusations, but they weren't.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to say that, but just.
I'm not asking you to say it. I'm saying it.
So, Greg, did you have your hands poised over the mic?
It's on. I was just looking at Boulder City Hospital, their reduced rates versus cost of service. How's that solar doing on Boulder City Hospital? What's it generating? It's been on over a month.
Yeah, I'd have to get back to it.
Well, I'm thinking that's going to be a hurt on that chart right there. Because they're generating, I don't know how much KW they put up for carports, but it was quite a bit. I think it'd be more than that, because I was looking at the inverters that they had stuffed up there. But yeah, I'm just curious, because that's a moving target there. money there, we're talking about is gonna be diminished by that.
Yeah. And, and that's Keith Bacon asked for, them to say if they were gonna do the solar panels on the rooftops, if they were gonna incorporate that. And they said yes. Well, there's nothing in this document to indicate they ever took that into consideration. And as we go forward, that could be an indication of less revenues or whatever. So it just has to be, it's just something that should be looked at that we were told would be, and there's nothing in this report that indicates it was. So as far as the cost of service goes, there's a lot of flaws. I totally agree with that, and I don't know what can be done. So we're just gonna have to accept it and talk about it later on. So now the rate design, to me, all this section does is a recommendation section. It repeats from page 4, pretty much, huh? Page 49, yeah, page 49, that rate there, and the next page, so page 50. Pretty much repeats what page 4 said, which in a technical paper can be done with not too much of a problem. But this rate design, I would have hoped that they would have said, okay, here's what we've done. Now you have a few options. Well, like, again, I'll keep on saying it. They give us 3 options. And so if you look at the electric utility, it's, okay, do it. Okay, this one, I guess, they're saying a little different. So they're saying reduce electrical energy by 3% across the board, maintain monthly customer charges and demand charges, phase in the cost of service rate over 4 years. So now they're not even saying that we can do it or not do it. Now they're saying this is what we should do. Exactly. And so theoretically, I guess that was the question I was going to have too, is should we ask for a recommendation section? Because the recommendations aren't clear through this document. And so do we say, can you put a recommendation section that's properly bullets everything and makes it clear what you are recommending? We don't have to agree with it, but at least we know what they are.
The mayor used the phrase "a rock in a hard place" when we were mentioning that. So, for Raftelis, I mean. So
do we put something just highlighting, like in rate design? Because really, rate design is a recommendation. It isn't a rate design. It isn't part of what I would have expected from the deliverables is rate design. So instead of saying do something else, just say, do you really mean this should be your overall recommendations, and can you make it clear?
I mean, they've recommended going with cost of service. That's, they've said black and white in the document. So we can extract that too. If they don't want to have their arms twisted to say, you really, it's in there. So. Well,
that's probably you've got the recommendation for the 3% and the $10 is in one place, and then you have the recommendation for the 3 aspects of the do it in 1 year, don't do it in 4 years, or don't do it. And then you have this ending that they sort of combine the two a little bit, but it's still not totally clear. But then they don't, I guess they do the 3%. So this overall rate design is their overall recommendation. So the question is maybe I didn't read this close enough.
We could ask them that. I don't have a problem asking them that.
So maybe the recommendation, and it just brings it towards the end to say, you either do it in the executive summary to say, here's our exact recommendations, or you do it at the end, one of the two.
You want to spell out the way you want it written in bullet form, or do you just want to let them just do it?
Well, I suppose if 4, 5, and 6 are pretty much what they're recommending, maybe that is bullet form, because they're saying the 3%, they're saying the $10, plus the larger reduction, equalizing residential, and then they're saying wastewater. So I guess they've taken the plate that they've done and pretty much bulletized it 4, 5, and 6.
Like on page 4, it says recommendation electric utility phase into cost of service rates over a 4-year period beginning in FY21. So that's pretty clear, I mean.
Well, it's just one of the ones that I think it's page 4 is that they put it into a paragraph and it's not bulletized that easily when they do the 3%, the 10%, and
I agree.
The 2.3. But again, no, we're pretty much done. Because 50, so the top one of that, okay, yeah, go up to the comment. Again, I'm just emphasizing I guess maybe just say, again, a footnote about the 2012. And then they claim that this one needs, I think we need to keep the second one in there because it doesn't say recommendations. This, the scope of work for this product included conducting a cost of service study and providing rate design options. The scope of work just said rate options, not recommendations.
Hey, Josh, is that proposal, was that spelled right? We don't wanna get Larry in trouble.
Probably said it wrong.
No, I was looking at some weird letters up there, I'm going, wait a minute, my eyes.
Okay, well, thanks for keeping me straight.
Hey, we all gotta keep each other straight, that's why we're on committee.
Okay,
My God, if one of us screws up, we're gonna get the hammer.
and I guess, I don't know if you want to say that, and the last one's just saying, keep, review it again. Again, this needs to be reviewed. So basically, we're just saying, your, assumes to be implemented this fiscal year, and we don't think it's gonna be, so maybe that is just a comment. So if you're okay keeping that, I'd prefer to keep that in. And that's it. Because I don't know what to do with the tables and the appendices and any of that other stuff. The rest of the document.
I have a real quick question. I haven't been in this anointed position for very long, but what does the blinking red light on the wall mean?
It means we're live, but I don't know anymore.
Means we have to be out of here
It's supposed to be solid, but I think we're going live. It should be solid. Thanks for asking.
That means this message was self-destruct in 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm looking at the screen, I have this blinking red light in my peripheral vision, and I'm going, what the heck? I saw it solid before, I just didn't know what it meant.
Okay, and then before I apologize. I think I said it off record, but I don't think I said it on record. Is that the January meeting is January 6th. I've said it several times as 5th. I apologize. It is the 6th.
At what time?
Well, so now I think it originally was at 3 o'clock. So are we agreeing to have a workshop starting at 1 o'clock till? Because I don't think anybody's after us on that date.
Don't think so.
You mean we're being chased?
Yep.
Sometimes we're chasing planning commission or the historic preservation committee, but I don't think there's anything on that. I'll even know.
What day?
Sixth,
January
What day is that?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Aren't you guys on Wednesday?
Yep.
We're trying to see if anybody's behind us.
I think that's your day.
Ooh.
Well, they don't. That doesn't. Yeah, okay, that'll be good. So if
Six.
Yeah.
is there anybody at 1? Is there anybody before us?
I don't know. I'd have to look at my schedule.
Typically not.
I don't think I saw anybody either on that. But like I said, I was saying the wrong date. So
Your
thanks.
day is the first Wednesday of the month, right?
That's kind of how we ended up
So
with that date.
if Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month is your day, then there's nothing else scheduled that.
Yeah. It's only been because of the COVID thing that we had some discombobulation, but this should be good going forward.
So are we gonna try to have a workshop at 1 and then change to a,
So
Regular
can we do it 1 to 4, 3 hours just in case?
What's gonna be on our agenda?
Well, is the report. So how long is the report going to take? So we the report, and I assume do we want to do the ongoing in the workshop too, the ongoing capital?
Yeah.
Well, actually, because we're talking about the 5-year, but we want the ongoing capital. Do we need to do anything else with this report in January? Are we done with this? Because I guess we're waiting until the final before we start taking different positions.
We give them the comments back for today. It's gonna take some time. I don't think they're not gonna have anything by the first meeting in January.
Probably, well, they said 2 weeks, but I'm not going to hold them to it. That's what they said.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and I'm not going to hold it to them, but that's what they said. So what time frame do we want for the workshop?
So the workshop's for a 5-year CIP report that Greg and I are gonna draft, or I'm getting a bit lost here. Is
So
that-
yes, the ongoing. So we'll talk about the ongoing capital. We might as well do that in the workshop. and that will also help, I think we start with that to lead into because we still got that big problem of trying to get what's ongoing done and how we're gonna get everything done through the next 5 years. That's really a big piece. So the ongoing capital would be part of the workshop. Then you would have the review of the 5-year capital, which is gonna be you guys' report. And then if everything goes well, then we would vote on it we would close the workshop, have a regular meeting and vote on it. And then we have our normal ones that we try to do, which is what are we doing for the timescales and what are we doing for future adventure. But it seems like there was something else. It seems like there was another full meeting. I'm trying to remember. I guess we'll have to.
Yeah, we can go up, but I think it was on the regular agenda, it wasn't on the workshop. So
Correct.
The workshop would just be basically the same items that are on today.
I have an ignorant question. We start the workshop at 1 p.m. Okay, and our regular meeting schedule was 6 p.m. If we finish the workshop early, we can go to dinner, come back at 6 p.m. for the regular meeting.
No, our workshop,
Or
our
we
regular
just
meeting.
carry it through.
We're talking about doing our regular meetings at 3.
Yes, yeah. We've lowered them to 3.
I think works for everybody. The only one that has a little challenge is that is Howard, but he can typically work around it, just not today.
So if you want to do that, we could do 1 to 2:45,
Yeah,
and then have a 15-minute break, and then start at 3 o'clock. If that gives.
I think we beat this document up enough that if we saw it come across the table again, we'd know what we're looking for. We don't need to go through all the pages.
No, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about we're not doing this again in the workshop. I think we're done. So the next one's going to be yours and Greg and George's report on the review of the 5-year capital plan.
So we're going to expand our 1-year report that we just did, and we're going to incorporate the 5-year plan.
Correct.
And then what's the next one we have to do?
Then I guess the next one I imagine is something to do on this report.
But we don't have it back, so we can't do anything on it.
No, I'm sorry, for later on. So we've got the ongoing capital and the 5-year that's saying right now, I think is all we have for the workshop.
Okay, so George and I will get together and we're already got the ongoing capital fleshed out and done. So the next thing we gotta do is the 5-year plan. And all we need basically, Dennis, is some of those corrected numbers.
All right.
And then what we'll do, George and I will explain why the numbers were corrected.
Yep.
So that way, that becomes a deliverable to city council as to the 2 reports.
All right, so I can just send you that staff report that'll show those number corrections with the spreadsheet.
Yeah, and then I would like to see if I can get my paws on it, the proposal for the 69 kV upgrade between the Boulder City tap and Buchanan, to make sure there isn't any
Yep,
FUBARs.
yep, that's no problem.
And so it's clear that report, your guys' report needs to be to Josh, Wednesday or Thursday? What's the drop dead date?
Give me a date on it, not
Well,
a,
Thursday is New Year's
Yeah,
Eve,
that's
so you're
the
probably not
challenge.
gonna be there on New Year's.
Thursday, they're not gonna be in office, so we already know that.
When
So
is-
as soon as we drop it in their inbox, they can look at it.
Is Wednesday reasonable?
So at a minimum, get a draft, even if it has to be adjusted a little bit, we can provide it to folks publicly at the meeting, or even before, Monday, Tuesday, before the meeting.
Okay,
The main thing that has to be posted is the agenda itself.
okay.
Yeah, that's the thing I
like
know
to-
we
I like
gotta
to
do.
get everything out ahead of time, so you guys have, opportunity to look at it. But if we need to make a few adjustments or whatever, that'd be fine.
Yeah, so when do you think you'll have the numbers to us?
Tomorrow, that's an easy one.
Okay, so that's your last day of the week.
Yep,
So you always drop the bombs at the very end of the last day of the week.
correct.
Okay,
And then when does the TELUS report get sent to council in its final form?
We'll have to make that determination.
Okay, so
Yeah.
because that determines when we have to do our thing, right?
Yeah,
To-
but that's probably something we should talk about at either the workshop or the next meeting, but yeah.
Okay,
Well, but I'd like to keep things as clear as we can, so people aren't accusing people of things, is that I believe the council will get the final report before we do a recommendation. We're not obligated to do a recommendation to them before they get the final
Right,
report.
and they have the draft report. That's been provided. to me.
Okay,
So,
so
What
maybe,
I would
okay.
suggest is we would back up, if we were going to, if this committee was going to make recommendations, that we managed it with the budget and the time frame of the budget, so that stuff would go into effect if we were gonna make any changes at the beginning of July.
Well,
And-
well,
and-
we,
so we
but
can
wait a
back up
second now,
from
wait a
then.
second. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We've still got to pass all the resolutions to do too.
That's correct, so.
Okay, so the council gets the report because they're the group that hired the company. We then will have the opportunity to make comments on the report. And when we do the comments on the report, we're gonna have to take and look at the resolutions as to how they're written. City will have to do that. But then we've got to incorporate the reductions and a chart showing, because we're gonna have 5 years on there. Gonna have to have all the charts and graphs and everything else on the resolutions before they can be presented to city council.
Yep.
And then they have to take and present the resolutions, and then the next council meeting, they gotta vote on the resolutions.
Yep.
So in order to get this all done by June 30th, we gotta work at that deadline of the last council meeting, whenever that is, so the resolutions can be put into action. And so you're talking a pretty tight schedule.
no, well, that's good, that's what I'm saying, let's get our expectations understood,
Yeah,
figure out what we need to do. And so, do we need to do anything in January, or can February be another workshop, which we've suggested? And in that workshop, a main part of it would be the resolutions. Is that soon enough?
I think it would be soon enough, but we gotta make sure that we haven't already booked something in that February meeting. I thought we had something going on in that February meeting.
We had a few items, but they were kind of the normal items. I think the only new one we added was the rooftop solar discussion,
Okay, yeah, and that'll dovetail into the resolutions, cause
so.
I think we need to start looking at that and then bring some documents forth that, I know Brock's working on some contracts with the solar companies and land leases and stuff, and we've got to see exactly what we got coming in on that and make sure that we've got our net metering discussion that's on the resolution spelled out in black and white, to where it's not, you have to go to this document and this document and this document to find it. And that's what they're having trouble with. And then we've got to look at our loading and our loading of our city loading from Meade, and make sure that we don't tip the scales as to our photovoltaic solar / battery storage and whatever else they got coming up the pike, to where we don't shoot ourselves in the foot as a city
Yeah.
by not being able to support or have the citizens get electricity at night.
Yep.
Because even the batteries only last so long, and then they're gonna be tapping us.
Yep.
So we've really got to look at that. And then the other thing, which is your side of the house, but I know it's going to come up and bite us, is the neutral. Current flows back on the neutrals. With all this new cable being pulled in, I don't know if y'all know about it, but your computers that have power supplies in them are bleeding energy back in the neutral through your residential into the pad mount transformers and pole tops in the city, and causing a real big problem with utility grade power. So that's something else that people don't understand about solar. The other thing really quick is solar also jacks up the voltage on your residential in order to push power back out to the system, so you as a homeowner are responsible to protect your electronic equipment from damage. So these are the things we've got to talk about in the resolutions and stuff, otherwise you're gonna be caught short-sighted. I was talking to an individual today as a sidebar, and she goes, well, why'd all my equipment in the house blow up? TV, computer, power supply, some electronics in her stereos and stuff. And I says, do you have protection on your system? No, I never heard about it before. So those are the things we've got to look at on the resolutions, but we just got to skim over it as a broad overview, not get down in the dirt and the weeds.
Yep, agree.
Right, so, okay, let me see, because we sort of are off agenda, but since it's a workshop, and I think we can do some of this, because whether we need to finish this report. Well, the one thing we haven't done is we can't vote, but does anybody have any problem with the document we went over? So what I'm understanding, so the one thing I'm gonna do, I think I've seen you taking notes, is I'd like to go over the deliverables at the very end, just to make sure we're clear on that. And so this would be, this document, how do people want to document? I mean, is it a matter of, if we just say the UAC review or something, how would the name of the document? Does anybody got a problem with that?
I would just say some comments for the UAC. I'm a bit worried that, again, this turns into a rubber stamp. You know, we've emphasized repeatedly throughout this discussion, we're not rubber stamping this rate review thing. We're just saying, well, we looked at it and gave some comments. It's not like when we didn't comment, it was okay. So that would be my take on it. That's why I kept going about, well, you know, because then Dennis can go, you know, I'm not trying to provoke, but he can go to the council and say, well, this was all reviewed by the UAC. You don't need to worry about it. And that's not what we've concluded today at all, if I understand correctly.
Well, we are on the record that we have not, I think most of us, if not all of us, have stated that we don't agree with a lot of the aspects of the report.
Right, but we need to get that message to the city council.
Well, it's on the record, so they can at least look at it if they have to be. I'm not sure how. So how do you want to get that?
We should get a
council?
document to them saying we do not agree and why we don't agree. Or at least, I mean, if you're uncomfortable with that, I can submit a minority report, but then or just as a citizen. But I think we
can't vote on anything today.
No, I'm not saying today. That's why I was asking when are they going to act on this thing? Because before they do that, they should get our feedback. We can't tell them, well, watch 5 hours of video, you know, to the mayor, and somewhere in there you'll find some negative comments. That's what I was trying to get at. It's like, you know, I'm worried again it turns into a rubber stamp. But we've looked at it and we're good now. And if you want more details, look at the 4.5 hours of video.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not asking them to look. I'm just saying if we had to, we can point, it is on the record, we are against it, so that we have it. Now then, the rate study, we're talking about how much, and this is exactly what I need from you right now. I need to know what you're expecting and how we're gonna deliver it. Because the rate study, this is the major issue we were asked to do. The next one is a recommendation. But the recommendation is not before they get it, it's after they get it. Now, is it very important, and what timing frame? That's very important.
Yes.
But so let's just go through the list that we're talking about that needs to be done this year. Okay, we've got the fiscal year 22, that whether this document that's gonna be sent out tonight is gonna be done, if that's part of it, or we have to do anything else. That's part of our resolution. The 5-year plan is definitely part of our resolution.
FY22 was for Dennis, actually. He's the one who said he wanted that information by December 8th. But the 5-year plan is in the resolution, yes.
So the other thing we need to know, Dennis, is resources. Is anything coming up this year related to the resources? Is that this year or next year that has to be redone? The resource plan.
It's not due till 23, I believe. I think
Correct.
it's 18 to 23. It's a 5-year plan.
Okay, just making sure, because
But I think it's something we should start working on.
but at least that would
Primarily just because we're incorporating some of these new sources.
But if we start talking about it, it's not a report we have to have before June.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
So then conservation's another one that's on the resolution, and it's something we talked about greatly, and we're gonna want a workshop, but might not have to be as fast. What we do want is yes, George, we want the rate study, we want recommendations as soon as possible. And as Greg has pointed out, the resolutions are a big key to that, the 3 rate resolutions, the electrical, water, and sewer. So we want to look at that, and that's where we can start with the 3% by understanding that and go with that. So I think what we do is so actually, Greg, you mentioned what we had on February, and that's what we did talk about, was to talk about the final rate study.
Okay, but I have a question. We've beat this horse to death even during the virus and everything else. The final report will come from Rafelis and go to city council. They got to have time to read it, right? And then we can dovetail our comments in. As soon as that report is issued to them, we can then turn around and give our comments to city council as to what we think should be left alone or fixed or corrected. Then that's going to drive the resolutions, because the council has to vote on the document. So we can't do anything other than give them our comments and let them read the comments at the same time they're reading the report. We've done a
Agree.
great job to where we're gonna have to stand down on this report for at least till, I would say, end of January. Because they've gotta have time to get the report out. You'll know tomorrow when Rafelis or Ratellis is gonna be able to get the report to city council with the corrections that we've recommended. So the document that we've just gone through for the last 3 hours, 3.5 hours, we need to name that as a document. It was called the rough draft of the Ratellis report, and that the UAC, Utility Advisory Committee, has added their comments as of 5:40 PM on this date, and that will be sent to them immediately. And then they have to have some time to correct their report, change the numbers and figures to where it dovetails into what recommendations we've sent to them, because that's all we've been told to do, and then we stop. Now, when city council reads it, they're gonna say, well, what's your recommendation? We've already done that. We did that 2 workshops ago. We put our stamp on things we didn't like. We voted upon it in a formal meeting, and we said this report needs to go to city council. City council will then have our recommendations that we all voted on in unison, along with the report, and they've got to look at it. And they've got to be given time to look at it. Meanwhile, we can start rough drafting out the resolutions. Because we can't, if they say, no, we're not going for a 3% electric rate reduction, we're not gonna do it. Okay, well then that recommendation in the resolution is gone. We're just gonna recommend that we hold everything straight on through until we find out we either need a rate increase or another reduction. I'm feeling pretty bullish on it that as a member and a former utility worker, I can see another small reduction, maybe 1%, once we get all our major capital projects done. Okay, and then I would recommend that we save money up for a rainy day, but this is all stuff that we're trying to put on at the end of the year or the first quarter of the new year. And it's just not something we can tackle. There's just too many open ends and there's too many strings in the ball that we got to pull on to figure out where it goes. So I think we keep doing what we're doing, but the only 2 reports that I can see that we need to get out, I'd say by January, the middle of January, is the 22 report, which we did, and then the 5-year report, which we're going to do. But as to the comment, because this is a workshop, we can't vote on it. We can just say that, like, for example, Greg Todd is in agreement with the document we went through tonight at this date and time, and I'm in agreement with all changes we've recommended.
I think it might be worth getting across to them that we have serious reservations about the utility. I mean, this rate report, but I don't know, maybe I'm just, maybe they won't read it, or I don't know. Because given our strong feelings, and the temptation is to say, well, they reviewed it and here it is. And the council won't know that, yeah, we reviewed it, but there were so many mistakes that we couldn't correct them. That they're not going to know. But I don't know if that's worth getting across to them, or good luck to them. If they can't figure it out, that's their problem. I don't know.
Well, I think Greg, because there's a 2-part to it, and at least that's the way I assume to it. So the one part that Greg said so the report that's going to go out, well, first off, is it fair to ask you to do it tonight or first thing in the morning? Because by the time we get out, it's going to be close for you to go home. So we're asking you to do 3 things tonight. It's either tonight or first thing in the morning. So we've got 2 reports to be sent to the council, and this report to be sent to Ratellis. Okay, so we'll get to that in a minute too. Sorry, just want to make sure it's fair so I repeat it. So we're going to have the report for the city council sent out tonight. That's what our recommendations, what I've been calling the low-hanging fruit, the 3% and the $10. And unfortunately, the other ones we said, we don't agree with it, but we need more data. And we basically inferred that we were going, or did say we were going to be looking at the draft and the final to give more comments.
That's my point.
So we have the first stage in the report, but we also did say we didn't agree with it. So we already have stated in our things that we did not agree with it. So we already have stated that. It's already been voted on. That document is going to go out tonight. And so we already have that down. Now, the next thing then we will do is do the 5-year plan. So the 22 is gonna go out, the 5-year plan is next. And then, so just trying to make sure we keep it in order. We have the resolutions. It never hurts to look at anything, to look at it. We start looking at it. But so January, so in February, do we look at the resolutions and the rate study, or do we start putting another report out for the rate study to say, because I don't think we're going to be able to have enough information in one meeting to say everything we recommend in the rate study.
I mean, it'd be kind of useful to know what the council wants from us too. I mean, someone could just talk, do you guys want any feedback, or, maybe they don't even care, I don't know.
Well, the thing I was going to ask real quick is, with all the documents we've gone through in the last couple months, what 5-year CIP plan are we working from? What 5-year plan are George and I working from?
The 22 through 26.
The current one? Okay,
One in this agenda packet.
all right. Because the numbers are going to change on it, and that's what I'm thinking about, George. Like, for example, the Adams line is going to change in dollar amount. The number is going to change in dollar amount. We've still got to take, and it's pending, but we've got the Red Mountain stuff's going to be started in 22, but I think it's going to go into 23 myself. Because we've also got to find another feeder circuit to feed it from. Mm-hmm. So there's some other things going on. And then, like you said tonight, we're working on sub 3 to have that rebuilt. So now we got the San Felipe Mendota line. We got an underground saw cut we got to do, and the boxes we got to drop in. And there's just so many moving parts on this thing right now. Mm-hmm. So, we're just going to do the best we can. But what I'm trying to do, Larry, Mr. Chairman, is find out what report we're working from. And the data on that report, once we get it, George and myself, that's what we're going to work from. Okay, if there's any corrections, mistakes, or anything like that, we're going to put a date and a stamp on it as this is the best we've been able to do at this point in time.
No, thank you. Now, the only thing that I would helpfully add to that is that, Josh, you and Marvin had worked on the descriptions. Was that in the last, was that November? 2 meetings ago. So remember the sheets that have all nice and glossy pictures but only have a little bit of information on. So sorry, but that I'm assuming, and that was that was the next 5 years, right?
I think it was just 22, but I think we've made the changes to all of them. I think we just put 22 in the package.
So that would be something I would think they would want.
We could add it to the package, yeah.
Well, add to the package, can you send that to those two?
Uh-huh.
Is that a problem?
Nope.
So would that be helpful? At least you'd have the up-to-date capital. That's their information.
Yeah, and I'm not going to comment on the photographs that are stock photos.
So
I don't know where those came from.
okay, so that one, so we're hoping to have because we do a workshop in January, open up a regular meeting in January, vote on it, ask them to be sent. George said you would like to present it to the council on I guess there's 2 meetings, so we could either do it, either one of the 2 meetings in January, if you wanted.
It's a matter of timing when it's best for them. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, George, why don't we make it a questionnaire? In other words, do you have any questions for us as a representative of the UAC?
I'm not asking.
We don't have to read it.
I agree. I'm not asking to make a presentation. I just want to be there and be at the podium, and so they realize we did this, and they have it, and we exist, and here we are, and you have questions. I agree.
Because I won't be here on the 12th or the 26th, unfortunately.
Any of you can do it. I'm happy to do it, but
Hey, I'll sit back in the audience. I'll cheer him on.
So so make sure I'm understanding. I think we still want to review the resolution. So is that going to be a February thing, or is that later on? I'm sorry, but I got confused there.
You have a very good crystal ball. The problem with that new report is, when can they get it back to us? Not when can we review it, but when can they get it back to us for review? I stopped there. We've done our work tonight. I'm ready to go home. All right, we've got it done. So you got the comments in, we've all verified and vetted the comments, they're all correct and accurate. Close it out, Josh lock the file up, send it.
Okay.
And if you want, just to make sure that it's correct, I don't have any problem receiving it in my inbox for a copy, a CC.
Yeah, it would appreciate. So we
Okay,
would
it
be
wouldn't bother
CC.
me at all. It's just megabytes of data.
Yeah, please CC us on all. We'd ask for that on the other one. So all three, if you could CC, would appreciate it. Thank you. So, but just making sure you understand, George, is that, well, we do not know when we can get a report out for the rate study.
Got it, because we don't know when we're going to get the rate study back.
And we don't know how long it's going to take us to get meaningful data back to the
Yeah,
council.
I have no problem with that. I will blow up again if, having done all this, you know, I then find out that someone goes to the council and says, well, this has all been vetted by the UAC and they didn't find any problems. And that's what I'm worried about. As long as that doesn't happen, I'm okay.
Okay, so sorry, two more details we have to do. We still got the comment period, and if you would, Eileen, so just so we can get into a role and we can sort of eliminate some of the future problems, if we can go over some of the, Eileen, did you have some major deliverables?
Well, one of the things I wanted to mention was that we had put down discussion of the utilities O&M budget for a February meeting.
That's a good point, because you thought thank you, because that was you were thinking originally that, I think at the last meeting you talked about January, but you said we probably wouldn't, you thought it would come back in February. Yeah, and it's tied to that schedule. So I guess what we would have is that, so if I'm understanding correctly, that's the major issue on February. If we have the final report by February, I would assume we would start talking about that, but February would still be, I think, a workshop. The regular meeting on Wednesday, just with the workshop, as a workshop. And I guess we could start that one at 3:00 though, right? Because it would just be, we're not gonna have, so it'd be a workshop, thank you, instead of our regular meeting, and we're not gonna do both. January, we're gonna do both. February, we're just doing a workshop on a regular meeting schedule. Okay, anything else, Eileen?
On the deliverables?
Yes.
Okay, Dennis was going to have finance look at the O&M budget, increase in personnel, ask the consultants to create 2 tables that will show with and without the franchise fees, check the figures on the repayment bond schedule, cash flows not showing the land sales on the capital, page 19. He's going to get the numbers to Greg on the updated 22-26 CIP tomorrow. He's going to forward the CIP 22 notes that we had agreed on last time to the council tomorrow. And he's going to send our notes on the report to the consultants tomorrow, along with copies to us.
Thank you. And Greg, George, and Dennis will get together before the next January meeting for that engineering report.
You mean the 5-year report? To look at
To look at the engineering report.
That was just me, maybe Greg wants to see it.
When do you want to hook up with him on that report tomorrow? I think I might have a copy of that in my file. If I don't have it, I'll text you immediately and we'll get together and come over here and hit him.
An email tomorrow when I can come over. Perfect, yeah, it's probably anytime after 11. Okay, all right.
Okay, so yes, we still have a lot to do.
Yeah, it's complicated.
And so we're all doing the best we can. And so then I think, Josh, and then again, it's not a criticism, I think part of the confusion was we did the deliverables one time, but we didn't do the deliverables for last meeting, so we didn't have a follow-through on that.
think that's because I was over there and not here taking notes.
Gotcha. No, I understand. It's not, we greatly appreciate your work. It's helped a lot. So this time, but I mean, I don't think we had deliverables. You had sent the one deliverables out the one meeting, but we didn't have one from last meetings. And then this time, so see what we can do for this time, but next meeting, definitely. So we have it, but it'd be good to, I guess, to send out the deliverables within like a week or so.
Yeah, I'll send them, tomorrow morning.
And that was the other thing too, I guess now what are the minutes? Where are we at on how far behind on the minutes are we on?
We got, I think the last 3 meetings.
And I don't think, have you sent you've sent,
I haven't got them back yet.
okay.
I sent them off, I usually send them the next day,
Okay,
so I haven't gotten them.
I'm just making sure I'm not holding you up.
No.
And you were gonna send them out to everybody, just to, if I understand correctly, just to make sure that there wasn't any misunderstandings. Okay, great. Okay, so was there any other comments? We've gone off the agenda some, but-
One real quick, I want to thank everybody for the teamwork we've done on this, because it's been tough sledding with everything going on in the rest of the world and around here, but I think we're making progress, I really do. We'll keep chugging away at it, but I want to thank everybody, and I like what we did tonight, and I'm all for what we did. I know we can't vote on it, but thumbs up from me for what we've done tonight.
In a more conciliatory note, I'd say it's easy to criticize, it's much harder to write one of these reports, and I can imagine if I'd written something, then someone else could hop in and just rip it to shreds. So I'm also aware of that, but that kind of is our job, so that's why I'm doing it.
Well, thanks all. I think we did, everybody, appreciate everybody's patience for going through it. It's something that needs to be done, so. I don't know if anybody's hung in there long enough, but yes, for the comment period, we'll check and see if there's any. We'll give you about a minute to call in. The number is, thanks again, 702-589-9629. I'll give until, I'll just run out the seconds here and then we'll call it good. Okay, so I think that's enough time. So we will close down, adjourn at 5:56. And thanks again, everybody, for your time. So it is on January 6th at 1 o'clock. Oh, Josh, could you send a calendar reminder for everybody on that too? At 1 o'clock, and then so for the draft and for the workshop and so thanks a lot.